John Meuret from Meuret Grain Company is our market analyst this week. The 2017 harvest is off to a slower than normal start across most of the Corn Belt. While Illinois and Indiana are ahead of their usual pace in soybeans, all of the major players are behind in corn. Heavy rainfall across Nebraska has slowed progress here. Several areas of the state received significant precipitation this week, including 3 inches in Grand Island Monday, more rain than the city has ever received in a day during the month of October. We talked with John Wednesday afternoon in Madison, Nebraska, and began by asking for an update on harvest in his area of northeast Nebraska.
It's really slow, Jeff, really slow. It's one of the most odd years I can remember. We start, we stop, we start, we stop, and looks like tomorrow we stop again. So
what do you think the crop looks like?
I think excellent. You know, so far the yield results have been good. We see beans that are all of last year's yield, and of course we don't have a lot out yet. We're maybe 5% out, so we'll learn a lot in the next week. Corn is too wet, so we really can't get a good feel on that, but the early high moisture corn guys have indicated that it's awfully good. So
the market doesn't appear to be phased by this late harvest though, right?
No, it's extremely sleepy. You know, I don't think you have a day go by that you get people excited about buying or selling it, and so you just set.
What's underlaying there? What's the reason for that?
Well, I think the end users are patient because they know there's a lot of crop there, and you get the farmer is patient because he doesn't really want to sell $3 cash corn. So I think we just get a standstill, and until we see which side blinks first, we're going to be here for a while.
One of the larger stories this week has been the shipping troubles to the east. Can you explain what's going on and why it's such a big deal?
You bet, Jeff. So the problem is it's a barge draft restriction. So it would be like if you had 1,000 bushel on your semi, and because the roads were soft, you could only haul 500 bushel. So to put it in barge terms, it was a 1,000% increase in tariff. And I think at some point yesterday, they said there's 47 miles worth of barges backed up in the Ohio River. So it's a problem, and I think it's slowly resolved itself. Yesterday we broke a little bit. There is rains forecast for here in east, which will help refill those channels, but it is certainly an issue.
Corn and beans?
Corn and beans.
Going to?
It's all going to the Gulf, Jeff, and so they're trying to stem the program that we've got on the books, and we do not want to have anything happen to exports. We need every bit of exports we've got. So
the final customer for that would have been who?
Primarily Asia. So we're going to India, we're going to China. You know, these sales have been on for 60 and 90 days, and the Chinese so far have been patient, and there haven't been a lot of loading delays, but it's a big program behind it, so we need to keep them rolling.
Does the PNW become more competitive then?
They are more competitive, and of course it's about a 30-day transit, not 60. So if we get in trouble, and if the West can start harvest, we will move more beans off the PNW. But so far, they've been patient.
Meaning what? They can go somewhere else and find it, or they have enough in storage?
They can. I think they've got enough in storage floating in the ports, and then they've also got South America still willing to fill in some spots, and so they could change a corn boat to a bean boat out of Brazil or Argentina and still find it.
Even though Argentina and Brazil are just starting their growing season, they have plenty in storage.
They've still got supply, and so it was a big crop. It's got a long tail. We're going to see that for a while yet.
One of the other stories this week has been the focus on ethanol and the future of ethanol. You serve on the board of directors for an ethanol plant up here. What do you think the future is? I
think we're fine, Jeff. I think we've had a good year, really good year in a lot of cases at these ethanol plants. We still have questions on what this administration is going to do related to the EPA. These rumors this week have moved the market. We've taken some of the shine off the apple, but I believe that we're going to still stay with our 10% to 15% ethanol in the U.S. and how we arrive at that RIN credit, where we collect that at, is just going to change the market structure a little bit. I think overall we've still got some growth. Doesn't mean we won't have down months, but I think we're fine.
Tell me about profitability in 2017 so far.
It's been excellent, Jeff. I think you're going to see a lot of these plants have the top 2 or 3 years they've ever had in the last 10 or 15. So it's a good sign. I mean, I think we've had good exports in ethanol, good use domestically, and so I think we're in really good shape.
Crop report next week. What are the analysts expecting first, and then what are you expecting?
That's a good question. I think the analysts are expecting corn yield to drip a little bit, be a little bit lower. Beans maybe be here or a little higher. And I would agree with the beans. I think we're going to be here or a little higher. We've seen enough harvest results that I think we can support that. The corn number I actually think is going to be here, maybe a touch higher, Jeff. I just think we've finished the crop in August and September extremely well. You almost couldn't ask for a better finish. So we're going to learn a lot when we roll the combines in western Iowa and Nebraska, but I sure think it's going to be hard to take that corn yield down very much.
Tell me about your price forecast for corn.
That makes it tough. If I'm right on the supply and I'm right on exports, which will struggle, not just because of the logistic issues, but because of competition in the world, I think we're stuck for a while. I think corn's got 25 cents downside from here, 25 to 50. That's going to get tough. It's going to be a long winter, Jeff, but I think that's healthy. Get it down, get some acres out of production, and then we can maybe have some fun for next year. Beans are, of course, have tremendous demand, but Brazil should have a good crop again. Maybe Argentina struggles a little bit with La Nina, but we need to go retire acres somewhere.
Right, I'll challenge you on that. And what are those acres going to go to?
See, that's a good question, Jeff, because we've added something like 180 million acres in the world in the last 10 years. So our annual consumption increase is about 2% a year, and our trend goes up about 2% a year. So what happens to those acres, and who's going to have the problem that we can go get that? Is it ethanol bailing us out? Is it exports? But you're right, I don't know what those acres go to.
Okay, I pulled you off subject. Your price forecast in beans?
I think soybeans are going to trade $9 in the futures to probably 10.5 at some point. I just think you see a typical rally in the next 2 or 3 months, a scare, if you will, out of Brazil. So that's where I think beans are going, Jeff.
Basis?
Bases are going to stay cheap. You know, it's a function of freight is expensive. We talked about logistics. You've got competition in the world. That all speaks to extremely weak bases. So I'm not looking for anything real strong in the basis.
Do you think the farmer's still holding a lot from last year?
He is. He's pared back a lot of it. I think he's made plans. He's gotten rid of some beans here late summer and early October. He's also dumped some corn late season. But yes, he's still carrying a lot, and he plans to carry a lot. And he should. We're in carries in both corn and soybeans.